What's going on, everyone? It's Mohammed, the host of Aware Alpha, and welcome to episode 98, 99. I'm not sure exactly which episode this will be. Just want to say I'm feeling super grateful as usual. It's an honor to have a platform where I'm able to, interview guests all around the world that are, chasing their purpose, living a life, and sharing their message with this world. And for me, it's just an honor to get to talk to these guests. And at the same time, I have this platform where there's listeners that are not only listening to us for entertainment purposes, but they're really listening to change their life, to get some kind of information that they can start to implement into their day-to-day life. And hopefully they start to live their purpose and just embody a happy, peaceful, free life. And today's guest is another special guest that I've been connected with the last couple of months. She is, doing some amazing things in her space. She goes by the name of Leah. And with that being said, welcome to the Aware Alpha podcast. And one of the things that, Leah, can you hear me as well?
Perfectly. Thank you so much, Mohammed.
Perfect. So one of my first questions that comes up to the top of my head is, I'm curious to know, what do you mean by a multidimensional being?
I love this. So for me, a multidimensional being is our ability to see ourselves beyond the seen world, beyond the matrix, beyond our experiences, the conditioning of life, the way we grew up, the family we've grew up around, but more so tapping into who am I in a core level? And
Mm-hmm.
we're more energy that we are more matter, right?
Mm,
So I am more soul than I am human. My experience today is as a human, but I'm still choosing to take my wisdom and finding answer beyond this world. And
mm,
so that brings so much gift and so much understanding to who I am, what is my purpose, what I'm here to do, what do I want to share with the world,
mm.
etc. And that's, yeah.
I like that. So it's like, because a lot of us, we just think we're this physical being, right? A lot of people are not aware where that there's more to just this physical. There's a spiritual, there's a soul, there is inner child, and there's all these different things, right? And to make sure I have this right, and what you're saying, that a multidimensional being is someone that's all that and more.
I think the biggest tragedy of humanity is this disconnection to our divinity.
Mm,
Because without this connection, we are victims of our own pain. We're victims of our own past, of our own trauma, of conditioning. We have a disconnection and we actually lost our authentic self-expression and we have just sponged what is around us. And unfortunately, in the world that we're living, there's a lot of system as the educational health system, economic system that is not in the favor as the individual um, human that is just living his life and wanting the best for himself, etc.
mm,
So realizing that what we've learned from the ground is not always the truth, but I
mm,
can actually preach the truth in different places that are more true to my heart.
mm,
And when people are disconnected from this, then this is how the world and how the world is in war right now,
mm,
because there's a true disconnection to their divinity. And I'm not talking about religious,
mm,
because religion is something else again, right? You've been taught a certain way to believe a certain things, and sometimes it's out of your own value, but you just integrate that so much. While
mm.
spirituality, your divinity, is something more open, I do believe, and more true to myself, but as well true to the well-being of everybody. And there's a lot of responsibility. Like I am responsible for myself, for my life, for my choice, for my emotions. And this is being a spiritual and embodied self in a multidimensional way.
I love that. I love the way you explained that. That makes total sense. And I really resonate with it as well. So now, like for someone that's listening to this, that maybe have heard this concept or this term the first time, how would you say somebody could start to live as this multidimensional being that we all are? What would be the, like, how would you answer that, or what would be the steps that you would give someone to start embodying this?
So something that I do believe is that in the society we live, we have zero awareness on our emotions,
Mm,
how to actually function as a human being out
mm,
of the systems, you know? And again, this is a true disconnection to our truth and how to move through life. And so when we can reconnect to this aspect of ourselves,
mm,
which is maybe the animal aspect, the more intuitive, instinctive, the more emotional, and
mm,
stop repressing what is within us. Because another tragedy, I do believe, is that we walk around with a lot of trauma. You know, trauma, there's a certain spectrum.
yeah.
And like you can, something very small can traumatize a kid or
Mm,
even an adult, actually. And so, since we haven't learned to express our emotions healthily, we
mm,
have learned to repress it. Don't be angry, don't cry, etc.
mm.
And so, in an energetic level, you know, emotion is energy in motion. So
Yes.
instead of moving it out of the body, we will repress it. And
Mm,
so this energy in motion doesn't go anywhere, is not transmitted. It stays in the body.
mm,
And those emotions actually stop us to be our true authentic self, to
mm,
be free, to talk as I desire, to say what I want, to
mm,
be happy a certain way, and will actually make us continue to affect our thoughts, our
mm,
feelings, and our behaviors. So
mm,
if I could have an advice for the people who are starting in this, I think it's very important to be able to turn ourselves to professional
mm,
are aware of this that can teach us, but as well who can help us to release trauma of our body. So
mm.
I'm personally a hypnotherapist, and
Okay.
this is what I do as a trauma release therapist.
Okay.
And so I help people to tap into their own energetic field,
Mm,
to see their own blockages,
mm,
to release them. So we tap into the subconscious mind because our subconscious mind is literally 90% of our reality
mm,
and 96% of our unconscious behaviors. So
mm,
it's mostly unconscious. We're only 10% conscious of what we do and what we think.
mm,
So the real core work is here. So first, I would say really investing in somebody to help to heal whatever is here, release. I actually don't fully believe in psychotherapy, only talk therapy,
mm,
because it's a big lack of the understanding and the awareness of energy, which
mm,
is emotions blocked in the body.
mm,
And second, again, working with the subconscious mind, as I was saying, is the freaking core of everything.
mm,
And so, how do we do as an individual without, if eventually there's no an opportunity to invest in professional,
mm,
is through practices, is through devotion to yourself. And
mm,
I'm sure you're very aware of this, and I'm sure you've embodied that very much as,
mm,
you know, an alpha man who's very disciplined and devoted and committed.
mm,
And personally, as a very feminine and working in the feminine work,
mm,
this is something I had to learn.
mm,
But so again, disciplined and the way I work
mm,
is, and I'm a little bit more further on the path, but
mm.
for really beginners, I would say meditation is the foundation,
Yes.
is the foundation because everything starts in the mind, right?
Mm,
So everything is when we can put awareness on the thoughts and choose better for ourselves. This
mm,
can shift truly somebody's experience of life in
mm,
a deep way. And not only I have to say that in internet there is an incredible availability of
Mm,
free knowledge,
mm,
free content,
mhm,
how to be this, how to become this, how to feel better like this. And this is how I started. This is how I started my own journey
mm,
5 years ago. I was a tattoo artist for 10 years, and I was very successful and very fulfilled until I wasn't anymore. And
mm,
so along the way, I had what we call a spiritual awakening. So everything fall down around me. I realized that my toxic behaviors, the way I've been playing a victim my whole life, and how my trauma and childhood has been still affecting me at that point. And
mm,
so this is the moment where I decided to take responsibility and to change things for myself. And
mm.
it took me a good year before to actually invest in people to help me, because I'm big in this. I have had many mentors in my life, and I still do, even though I'm mentoring myself women, I think is a path of growth.
Of course.
Yeah. And so before that, when there is something that you put awareness within you that is not working anymore,
Mm,
I invite people to look online. What is there for me? What can I do? Because there is solutions.
mm,
There is practices, there is rituals that can really shift things for ourselves
mm,
in a way that people aren't even aware.
mm,
And my biggest message for the world and my mission is to spread awareness around healing. There
mm,
is so many mental illness, disease,
mm,
life-threatening illness
mm,
that, or even body chronic pain,
mm,
that people think they're irreversible.
mm,
This is who I am, and they create an identity around it. This is who I am. I'm going to be my whole life sick that way.
mm.
This is not the truth. This is what the system make us believe. People
Yeah.
have a cancer, they go months in chemotherapy and may not even, there's only 2% of risk of success in chemotherapy. Well,
Mm,
with one session with the right professional, you
mm,
can release the root core of the life threatening, because anything that is in the body
mm,
was first in the emotional.
mm,
So all of our sickness, body chronic, almost all of them are actually first coming deep rooted from trauma, life experience, pain that we have repressed so much that the
mm,
body cannot handle anymore. So when I was talking about this repressed energy, this
mm,
energy becomes so heavy. The body, the soul call in to heal,
mm,
but we cannot listen. So the cells start to eat each other, and that creates viruses, that creates sickness and illness, and people die from it.
mm. I love
How
that.
tragic is that? Yeah.
It reminds me of a book. It's called The Body Keeps the Score. And in the book, it talks about that the trauma and the experiences, pretty much emotions, like it's energy in motion. So if you don't process it, you're pushing it in your body, and then you keep pushing it, and then eventually it leads to chronic illness and just mental health, all the stuff that if you just actually start to process these emotions, you actually start to feel better, right? And you also, and that was a great way you answered that about how can one start to be their multidimensional being? And you said to tap into their heart, listen to their intuition, and get to the root of the trauma, which a lot of us in this world are dealing with some type of trauma, right? My question is, like, from your perspective, how does one start to like listen to their heart, and so their heart can guide them into where they should go about this?
So this is a great question, and people ask as well, how can I be more present?
Mm,
Right? Because those are very important. We want to be present. We want to enjoy the day-to-day life, the little things, looking
yeah.
outside, seeing a bird and feeling in your heart, right? We
Mm,
all desire this. And listening to our heart, being able to have our inner wisdom guiding us, etc. So But the thing is that, again, when we come back to trauma and to trapped emotion, those trapped emotions are literally influencing from mind to body to beyond.
Mm.
So it's, I remember a few years ago, I was really trying back to be in the present moment to listen to my truth, but
Mm.
I was so traumatized within me that
Mm.
there was no true way. And along the way, I remember this exact moment when I was walking outside and I was looking around and feeling so present and just at peace within me.
Mm.
And that was very much due to all the releases that I had been through,
Mm.
all the work that I have done to
Yeah.
release those pains.
Mm.
And uh, and so for the heart is a bit the same thing. When we are too much in our mind, how can you listen to the body?
Mm.
Impossible. Because when you say our heart is as well the connection to our inner child,
Mm.
to our body, to our subconscious mind, to our soul, and
Mm.
beyond, our higher self.
Mm.
And so there is incredible inner wisdom there, but we've learned to be there so much in the mind that we cannot fully connect. So
Mm.
when we can eventually have a meditation practice, like 10 minutes per day, will
Mm.
help to lower the noise in the mind with time.
Mm.
And eventually we have more space to listen for the heart.
Yes.
And so, and to go a little bit deeper than into the practice of listening to the heart, because somebody can have done already some disciplined work around the mind, but
Mm.
still having hard time to listen to the heart. And so this is something I have learned not so long ago, is that first it's very important to be able to feel into the body, right? You
Mm.
need to be able to feel into your energetic centers. So
Mm.
when something happened, where do I feel it? Okay. So this is awareness that we grow with time, right?
Mm.
And so another thing is that when you arrive to that point, when you can feel into your heart, the touch is really helpful. If
Mm.
I can touch into my chest where my heart is, where
Mm.
my energetic center of heart is, then
Mm.
I can feel better. And this is one of practice. Second, when you ask a question to your heart can literally answer.
Mm.
And the way you can find the answer is yes or no. And the yes will feel light
Mm.
and the no will feel heavy.
Mm.
And you will feel, if you really aware with your body feelings, you will feel, okay, should I eat this? And the yes feels light and the no feels heavy. Okay, what do I feel? And
Mm.
that's the true guidance that we can find with our hearts.
Oh, I like that. That's definitely something I want to try myself. For just for like, how did you get to where you are? So you said you were a tattoo artist. Just give a little background, like where were you born? How did you just, you know, just a little picture of Leah's life.
Yes, so I was born in the south of France, and I actually had a very chaotic childhood. My mother was an alcoholic. My parents split up. I was very, very young.
Mm.
And then I almost got adopted around my 5 years old because my mother wasn't able to be responsible for me. She would drink and leave me in the car or leave me alone in my
Mm.
house in a very, very young age.
Yeah.
And after that, when I was 7, she passed away. My father got me. And then my father wasn't able neither to really take care of me. And there's a lot of like, and it's something that I'm still holding in me, a
Mm.
lot of responsibility, lack of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up pretty much on my own.
Mm.
At 14 years old, I had my first apartment, and then, first boyfriend or like second boyfriend, it's been such a chaotic realizing that I have so much pain inside of me. I was 17 years old. I just started to um, greeting my mother that was dead passed away for like 10 years
Mm.
because due to trauma, I was so dissociated from my body.
Mm.
I would constantly hurt myself being sick and not feeling it
Mm.
because I was so disconnected from my emotional body. So we have five bodies, just to go a little bit into depth. We
Mm.
have the physical body, the mental body,
Mm.
the energetical body,
Mm.
the emotional body, and higher consciousness, our souls. So they're all interconnected, but we're living in a world when only the physical
Yeah.
is addressed, right? So the problem is that they all actually influence each other.
Mm.
So when we are disconnected with our emotions, then we cannot be disconnected with our spiritual,
Yeah.
energetical body. So I was fully disconnected from my truth, actually, my body. And along the way, I think the real triggers for me was relationship. I went through a lot of different pain, and it was a real realization because, you know, relationship is how you see yourself. It's your biggest mirror, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that was my ability to see that a lot of things was wrong inside of me.
Mm.
And it was due obviously from the environment where I grew in.
Mm.
And to take actually empowerment through it all, I know that my soul has decided to
Mm.
take this path in order to bring me to my purpose and to be who I am today. So
Mm.
along the way, I am an artist, so I went into art. I am as well like very dedicated, and so I went very far into my career in a very young age until the day that I had a very tough breakup
Mm.
that broke me in pieces, but only to put me back together.
Mm.
And so, yes, this is when I end up to have broken everything around me
Mm.
and being alone on the floor with like the desire to die. And
Mm.
at that point, there was no other solution than slowly actually taking action for myself and
Mm.
only taking true responsibility to what I feel, my path, where I'm meant to go. And
Mm.
along the way, doing the work that I was doing, the art wasn't inspiring me anymore. I've just lost connection. And that was my heart telling me, you need to go somewhere else. And
Mm.
so I spent 2 years completely obsessing on healing and learning everything. I've invested into course, and then I decided to start my business as a mentor. So I help women along the way of their healing journey to go through and bringing them to wholeness. And
Mm.
then I eventually went into hypnotherapy, and that has totally changed my career and my view on human and healing. I had the chance to be trained by an incredible woman
Mm.
in Bali, Indonesia, and she really taught me the deep core of what is energy, what is healing, what is our souls. And so from then, as I started, my first sessions were incredible.
Mm.
And I realized that I was meant to do that my own life.
Mm.
And now it's been only a year and a half, and I have had incredible results with my clients, like life-changing results.
Mm.
And
Definitely.
so, and we can truly, and this is again the message that I want to share, that we can truly heal anything
Mm-hmm.
and become whole. Even the worst disease and illness, there is always a door out. And yes, so now I'm actually mentoring women by groups,
Yeah.
and we have every week a transmission and healing session. So we go deep into everything that I've shared into like ancestral wounding,
Mm.
womb healing for women, that is very important, inner child healing and reclamation of our sexuality, of our femininity, and inner power, really.
Mm. I love that. Thank you so much, first of all, sharing your story. It just that was very authentic. And one of the things that came to my mind was I feel like a lot of people will go in and out of relationships all their lives and continue to blame like the outside world, like he wasn't my type or she wasn't this and it's very few that ever sit back and reflect and say, maybe something's wrong with me. Maybe I have something going on. Maybe I have some type of trauma that keeps attracting this type of people in my life, and I keep reliving these things. And you mentioned at that one point, you were like, wow, like I have to heal my own trauma and like my own stuff because it's me, it's not the partners, right? Would you say, like, first of all, how old were you when that happened? And then second, how were you able to come to that awareness? Because like I said, not many people ever like turn inward and say, maybe it's me and not these people that keep coming in and out of my lives.
Well, for me, it was so that happened 5 years ago. So I was around 24, 25 years old.
Okay.
And one part was very obvious since my past and the childhood and the environment where I grew up. And I've always been attracted to very healthy family, upgrowing men. And obviously we attracted to our contrast, because
Yeah.
we learn through duality.
Yeah.
And so at that time, I was pointing at him,
Mm,
you're not emotionally available for me. You cannot handle what I feel, blah, 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 blah. But
mm,
there's a point that this scenario just run itself low. And I quickly realized that, and I was actually pretty aware before that there was things within me that needed to be healed, that needed to find balance. And to talk about my relationship right now, and for the ones who are in relationship, one of the most important, and I'm actually talking about friendship too,
mm,
because relationships are a work, even in friendship, and the one that are the stronger are the one that can go through the storm but still being aside of each other. And
mm,
so taking full responsibility, one of our rules, and even in every of my friendships, is taking full responsibility for what I feel.
mm,
And that goes by this. You have done this, and
mm,
he makes me feel like this.
mm,
You've done this, you make me feel like this. There's a difference,
mm,
right? And this is the difference. And this is so important when you can come to somebody, and we're talking about parents, friends, partners.
mm,
I feel like this. And the
yeah,
reason I feel like this is because I've experienced this with you.
mm,
Now I'm vulnerable, honest with you. It's hard for me, but this is what I feel. And when you come like this to a person, and I'm saying that to my clients who have like struggle with parents, etc.,
yeah,
nobody can get angry at this,
mm,
right? Because you're expressing what you feel and you don't blame anybody.
mm,
Because the truth is that you have to hold the belief that whatever happens in the external world, you are responsible for how it makes you feel.
yes,
That's it.
yes. So taking full responsibility is definitely a must.
It's a key. It's a
Mm,
key for healthy. And I'm saying this for me, sometimes it's still hard because we have trigger being a response for a pain that is still within us.
mm,
So maybe my partner is going to trigger me a certain way, and I will feel, and my body wants to say, fuck you, you make me feel like this,
mhm,
My whole body but I cannot respond by this
yeah,
because it's damaging us. So
mm,
instead, I will breathe and like, okay, I feel like this. I know it's not his fault. It's
mm,
because somehow in me, even though there's maybe sometimes it happens, a misalignment in his behavior,
yeah,
I will share what I feel, and this is not right for me. Those are my boundaries. This is not working, and this is working. But this is how to communicate. And again, in friendship is very important too.
Thank you so much for that. And also, I follow you on Instagram, and seeing you and your boyfriend Brad, like, it's always like relationship goals. You guys have so much fun. You guys are dancing, enjoying, traveling the world. It's truly, truly beautiful just to see how just authentic you guys are. And just how like integrate, like you guys just, it's like it's you guys are just perfect for each other, it looks like when you watch the videos, right? And I'm sure it's taken a lot of work and conversations and to get to where you guys are, right? What would you say is not just one but some of the keys to a healthy, happy, aware relationship?
So one of the keys will be expressing what you feel,
Hmm.
because holding resentment, it's what literally drove relationships apart. And
Hmm.
this is a little bit more of a masculine approach. I am not fully going to share what I feel because I don't want to create problems, and I'm prepared to keep this inside of me. And what is not expressed is repressed. It doesn't go anywhere. It's only going to freaking rot inside of you.
Hmm.
And then another thing come up. So it's just peeling up. And that's the true reason why people do not stay together, because when we hold resentment, we are irritable. We're getting annoyed easier. So
Hmm.
the everyday life becomes way more harder and harmonious. So it takes time. This is the thing. Like, people have to understand that a true conscious relationship, it's actually a work, because we come from two different paradigms, two different cultures sometimes, two different opposite core energy as feminine and masculine, even in homosexual. Um, there's always a lot of difference, and this is why we are attracted to each other, right? It's the polarity. So if we don't express fully, then it just destroyed more that he actually build back. And so when we can again come back to the way we communicate, taking fully responsibility for what I feel,
Hmm.
then the communication is way more soft, way more loving, way more caring. And so communicate struggles or lower emotions then becomes way more easy,
Hmm.
because there is a peace in the midst of pain, trigger, and arguing.
Yes, yes. No, that was a great point. In a healthy relationship, I say, right, where everything, like, it's a healthy relationship, but even in healthy relationships, trust issues still come up, right? So what would you say is the root of those trust issues? Because if my partner hasn't shown any signs that I shouldn't trust them, they're literally committed to me, they love me, they're there for me, but yet I still, let's say, I have trust issues, where would you say are those trust issues coming from? And what are they saying about me and my trauma?
So trust issues most of the time come obviously from traumas. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a wide range of why it's still within us. But
Mm-hmm.
it can be held by a body like an energy, a trapped emotion. And so it will influence our thoughts, our feelings, and behaviors, even if our partners haven't shown any traits of like being untrustworthy. So at that point, it comes back to fully taking responsibility. So
Mm-hmm.
having the belief and knowing, even if it doesn't feel like it, that your partner have the best intentions.
Mm-hmm.
That means that anything he does, as a man, from my experience,
Yeah.
I know his intentions are good.
Yes.
So even in midst of trigger, even when I don't fully believe that I can trust him, I can remember, come back to this belief, his intentions are good.
Mm-hmm.
And so along the way, really sharing as well, I'm not always feeling trust, but when I don't trust, I'm not blaming. I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking within. Okay, here there's a mistrust. okay, and when we trigger, it's very hard to take these conscious thoughts, right? But along the way, we can really find the ways of like, this is just showing me that I need to work on myself.
Mm.
Taking full responsibility is really the key.
I love that. And now to lead into the next question that just came to my mind is that, so let's say we are in a healthy relationship and these trust issues come up, and then we're like, okay, look, this is not my partner. They're a great partner. This stuff has to do something with myself. So now I have the awareness where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to take full responsibility for this because this has something to do with myself, my own trauma. Now I'm aware that I have some trust issues going on. Whether it was, my growing up with mom and dad weren't really there for me, which built these trust issues. So it's hard for me to trust a woman or a man. Now, like if I was to ask you in steps, like how do I go after I take full responsibility? How do I go about building trust with myself now and fixing those trust issues?
Mm-hmm. So everything that is outside of us is first within. So
Mm,
if I don't trust myself, I cannot trust people.
mm,
It's just, it doesn't work. So first, I need to find ways to trust myself and to show to myself that I can do the things that I say, that I can show up like this, that when I say something, I will do it. And so building this is very important before to be able to build it outside of ourselves,
mm,
right? And then if you want to work without a professional, for example, most of the time, if you don't, for example, trust the opposite sex, like a woman, if you don't trust women, there's a mistrust with the first woman you had in your life relationship. So
mm,
that's the mother or the grandmother if there was no mother, right?
yeah.
So in that case, how can I heal this relationship
Mm,
so I can heal further every relationship? Because again, the root is always in the first relationships we ever have.
mm, I like that. That's a great answer. One of the things that when it comes to suppressed emotions, going back to that topic, let's say like I'm aware that I'm like, yeah, there's definitely a lot of suppressed emotions in me. I find out that, I had a traumatic childhood. What would you say are, one or two practices that one could start to do to release unstuck emotions?
Mm. So as an individual, so without professional,
Mm,
um, breath work is very, very powerful
mm,
because with the power of breath, we can
mm,
tap into those trapped emotions in the body and
mm,
releasing them. But I want to share something that is very important as a trauma release therapist is that a trauma happened
mm,
when we didn't get the right understanding and love.
mm,
So to heal trauma is to heal trauma with love. And
mm,
most of the time, this imply being with other people,
mm,
healing together, healing with a support. Because I cannot imagine somebody who is new in the healing community
mm,
and want to say, okay, I'm feel that they want to start breathe like breath work, as I say, is very powerful to release trauma, and
mm,
that they're alone in their room and they go into a release and all of a sudden they have cracks and they cry and they go and even maybe like a body response. And so in that moment, what is very important is that we have the contact with one another. We
mm,
have just a presence if that's what we need, or a touch,
mm,
because that's the root cause of trauma,
mm. That's a great
if that
answer.
makes sense.
Yes, it does. And the reason why I was asking that also is because I think it was in your previous post from maybe even last year, where you were talking about movement and like dancing, and it's a great way to, I don't know, like heal trauma, or I don't remember exactly what you were saying, but
Mm.
can you share a little about, why you think like dancing and movement? what are the benefits of it? Because it seems like that's something that you do a lot in or in older practices. But yeah, share a little more on that, the benefits of movement and ecstatic dancing.
Absolutely. So as we say, trauma is in the body. So
Mm,
we can say trauma of trapped emotions or lower emotions. So I'm going to give you two practices that are actually helping to shift
mm,
an internal state to
mm,
something that it feels better. So the first, as you say, is dancing. So
mm,
when we move, as we are more energy than we are matters,
yeah.
when we move, we actually release energy. And
Mm,
so certain emotions are stored in different places in the body. So if I'm gonna like move my hips, then in the hips, there is the root energetic center is connected to the feeling of unsafety,
mm,
and trust, a little bit up. So that's we have the sacral. The sacral is our emotional center related to sexuality, relationship, even financial.
mm,
And so when I can move those parts and breathe, then energy moves too. So it's very powerful. Um, and the second practice
mm.
that is incredibly powerful and can truly shift things is EFT.
Okay.
EFT, which is I can't remember but it's called tapping.
Okay.
So it's
Is it emotional?
emotional, yes,
Yeah.
emotional freedom technique,
Okay. Okay.
EFT.
Okay.
So by tapping in meridians in
Mm,
the body, we have the ability to actually change subconscious beliefs
mm,
that hold. And so it's called the reversal psychology. So I
mm,
will acknowledge where I'm at,
mm,
and I will then affirm something that I want to build. Like, for example, I will tap around my face, on my chest, and around my ribs and say, I've been working on this personally as self-sabotaging. So
mm,
even though I self-sabotage my success, my relationship, I love and accept myself anyway. And so when you can acknowledge the negative and then building the positive on the top, this is an incredible practice that truly can shift patterns, behaviors, beliefs, fears for a good time. So this is a practice that you need to do minimum 3 weeks every day and beyond.
mm. That's interesting. So that's yeah. So can you share that again? So like, do I wait till I'm like, let's say like if somebody like when you're triggered or when you feel like you're out of your body, like when do you do this? When do you do the practice?
So yes, that can happen if you feel triggered, if you feel low, if you want to shift something, but it actually really work as well when you see yourself having a behavior that is not aligned to what you desire,
Mm,
and at that point, or is toxic for you or not good, and
mm,
at that point you decide, okay, I want to take um this actions towards to try to integrate this and actually change it. So I will give you go on YouTube
yeah.
and find Brad Yates.
Okay.
This man is the king of EFT, emotional freedom technique, and
Mm,
he has a video for everything that you can struggle with or face as tragedy, behaviors, feeling unsafe, feeling heartbreak, and it really helped step by step to shift those heavy emotions.
interesting. Yeah, no, I'll have to look into that. For you these days, and before we start to record the podcast, you guys are in Mexico right now, enjoying the nice sunny weather. What would you say your day to day or morning or evening, like what are some things that you do like as a routine to stay balanced in your relationship, to stay healthy in your own day to day life? Like, what does a day in your life kind of look like, and what are some things that you do that would say are part of your routine and makes you who you are?
So I'm very devoted to my self-growth and to find peace within, right? And to grow into my purpose and to where really access my full potential, because I know how small we can make ourselves when actually we can be an incredible, as human, we have incredible power that are beyond our understanding and conscious awareness. So my work lately has been, I meditate, that's no negotiable.
Yeah,
I woke up and stay in the dark in my bed and put headphones and go into a meditation that is aligned to what I desire, what I'm facing, what I need to
yeah.
bring, etc. And then I will do some journaling. Um, then I will actually do some EFT,
Mm,
some tapping, because it's been now 3 months that I do it every day for different topics. Um, but then I do 3 weeks and then I shift to something else. And then I go into my creative mode.
mm,
So my creative mode will either, sharing value online or sharing for the program that I'm building, because it's a group program, but I have as well like an encyclopedia that
yeah.
is self-healing within. So I'm constantly building, and then I move my body. This is as well non-negotiable for my mental health.
Mm,
So my routines, the core, the foundations are always the same.
mm,
They're like 3 hours
yeah.
approximately.
Mm.
But along the way, I will change the topics of what I do depending of what I'm facing, how I want to grow, what I want to shed away, etc.
That's good. Thank you for sharing that. What do you feel like is like the key to a happy life? I feel like everybody wants to live a happy life, and even outside of, what we do, like not involving trauma or whatever is it, all the stuff that we do, like overall in the general, like what do you feel like is the key to living a happy life? Or maybe it's more than one key, but because you seem like a very happy person who is, of course, I'm sure you go through all the different spectrum of emotions, but overall it seems like you have found peace and you're happy, right? So I'm curious, what would you say is the key to a happy life?
I think they're all around beliefs,
Hmm.
because our beliefs dictate our lives,
Hmm.
and it actually dictates what we attract in life.
Hmm.
So what I do believe I will attract. So when I believe that the world is safe, I can surrender, let go of control, that I'm always taken care of, that always all my needs are met, uh, because I'm doing so, right? And when I believe that life is about cycle, and
Hmm.
that sometimes there is some lower, but they're here to teach you, and sometimes there's some higher, and it's time to enjoy. So when I have some core beliefs that are, I think, very important, and I actually do believe that to be fully happy, we have to have a kind of a deeper conscious awareness along our existence, which is beyond this body. And
Hmm.
so when we can have those beliefs, life becomes easier. And the second, I would say, surround yourself with people who have the same belief
Hmm.
and who feel the call as well as you do into purpose, or
Hmm.
who just understand you in a core level. And because we are social race, so when we can be in places around people that are in the same path, then it's so helpful, really.
I like that. What are your thoughts on affirmations? There is a lot of course, coaches or individuals and books that talks about, for example, if I say money keeps coming to me in multiple sources, and if I say that over and over again, eventually money will start to come in multiple sources. But then there are some, people that say affirmations don't work, and it's not. So it's everybody has a different opinion, right? I'm curious, like, what are your thoughts on affirmations? Do you do them? Do you have any type of affirmations that you repeat over and over again? And yeah, share your thoughts on that, please.
So my thoughts on affirmations is that affirmations as words have a frequency.
Yeah.
So you will say words that will make you feel somehow, some way.
Mm.
And so same spelling, our words are cells. So we create our reality with our words. Now, I would say affirmation doesn't work for everybody, depending which affirmation you choose.
Mm.
Because if you have a belief inside of you that you are poor, like for example, poor consciousness, this is
Yeah.
very, very largely common in this world.
Yeah.
Lack mentality, poor consciousness, ancestral wounding around this. I will believe that I will always be poor. Now I'm reading every day, I'm a rich, I'm a millionaire.
Yeah.
Your body says no, this is not true, and you're going to feel even worse.
Yeah.
So when you do the shadow work, shadow is like being able to put light
Yeah.
what was unconscious. So when you realize what do believe I hold, and
Mm.
shadow work is like realizing that is irrational. It's not true. I can actually create my reality in different ways. And
Mm.
then slowly adding affirmations that are closer from what you already believe. For example, I'm responsible for my money. Like
Mm.
I make money with ease. If, for example, you have ease to find jobs.
Yeah.
So, and then slowly you add up when
Mm.
you feel your business is a certain state and you feel you're making certain money and it's still believing in you, yes, I'm a millionaire. You
Mm.
can step into those affirmations.
Mm. That's good. I like the way you explained that. You mentioned something about shadow work. So I believe, there's a lot of importance to shadow work. I did a lot of shadow work in 2020, and it really helped me get to fall in love with all parts of myself, because there was a lot of parts of myself that I was just like, no, I like this, but I don't like that. And when I started to really just be like, no, like this is all of me, and I start to show love and I start to be present for all those parts of me, it really just, helped me to where I am today. It just helped me discover myself more and everything like that. With everything that we spoke about here today, how important would you say is shadow work, or is shadow work also one of those pieces that somebody must start to do to be able to listen to their heart more, to be able to live this multi-dimensional being that they are? How important is shadow work when it comes to all the stuff?
Shadow work is very important
Mm.
because, again, as you asked me how to be happy, I believe is all about the belief that we hold.
Yeah.
So we are grown in an environment, we hold the belief of our parents, of our ancestral, of conditioning the society, so which is misaligned to the divinity that we're looking within, right? So
Mm.
shadow work is really putting light into the fears, the belief that are really stopping us to embody our full potential because we are ultimate, powerful human,
Mm.
but the only thing that stops us is fear,
Mm.
fear of expressing, fears of being, fears of going after my dreams. And
Mm.
so when I can do the shadow work and realize that those are irrational in the subconscious level,
Yeah.
then I can slowly attract what is actually true and
Mm.
what I truly desire because we are creative being and we are able to attract everything we truly desire. But it only depends of what we believe being true.
Mm. I like that. That was a great answer. You're in a happy relationship and you work with women. I have a question. What would your message be to all the men that are out there? And to make it more specific, I would say just when it comes to this just space that we're in, a lot of men need to be more emotionally attached and with themselves, be more aware, just and I feel like there's a lot of men in this world that don't respect women either, which shows you where they are in their own journey, right? And which just I still have love for those men as well because they're
Mm.
lost, confused. So my question, yeah, like what would, because you work with women as well, so you probably hear a lot about what these women want in a man or what men are lacking these days and all these things. So yeah, what would your message be to the men that are listening to this podcast?
So really having awareness in the body, because that's again against the society we've grown up in, right? So really putting back awareness in the emotion. And
Mm,
that's what the masculine truly needs, to understand his own emotions in order to actually move through life and eventually relationship, because relationship is emotional, right? You
yeah.
cannot be fully invested in a conscious relationship if you're fully disconnected from your own emotions.
Mm,
It doesn't make sense. So, and it's a reclamation.
yeah.
It's a true work that men have to do, because it's out of all belief they grew up in, right?
Mm,
So I wouldn't say that woman, like, the truth is that the feminine energy, her purpose in life is connection and love.
mm,
The masculine is purpose oriented, it's
mm,
mission oriented. I want to find my purpose, I want to do something for the world, especially
yeah.
when we're conscious, right? So the woman, as long as she can feel safe with
Mm,
somebody who is honest,
yeah.
somebody who is available,
Mm,
somebody who is self-aware, and
mm,
self-awareness comes from emotions. Where are my shadows, the behaviors that are not fully accepted or loved or okay for me to do? As long as I'm conscious of and I can share this, it's all we really need as women, feeling safe. Because when we can feel safe, then we can then be ourselves, be embody everything that we love. And a woman really flourish when she can surrender. If
mm,
she doesn't feel safe with a man, if she doesn't trust a man, then there's no surrender, and there will be complication and behaviors that are out of alignment all the time.
mm.
So I hope I replied to your question.
No, that's good. That was a great way. And one last question, and this just came to my mind. It's a very new concept for me in the last year or so. I have done it myself. I almost like I believe it that. So as a masculine man, I have, the feminine energy, feminine, masculine energy. We all have it. And then where it's even got deeper for me is where I have an inner goddess in me. There's an inner girl in me, just as a man. Like if I want to have an externally a goddess in my life, a queen that I treat good, and to make sure to even attract a goddess like that or a woman, a beautiful woman like that in my life, I must first be good to the woman in me. And that woman in me is energetically, right? It's energetically, is an embodied, there's a female in me, there's a feminine energy that I must learn to cater to, listen to, and be there for, hold space for. And as I do that more, I start to attract more conscious women in my life. So I'm curious, do you also believe that? Do you believe that as man and woman, we have that? Like as a woman, you have that masculine, that inner man, this all in you. And for myself as a man, there's that inner goddess that's in me, and I must learn to listen and be good to it and hold space for it and all that stuff if I want to have a beautiful, authentic relationship in the external. Do you believe that we have those energies all within us?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, resume everything that I shared before.
Mm,
First connection with the woman is a reflection to your inner feminine. So we both have the feminine energy and the masculine energy.
mm,
Now there is a difference in between which core are you embodying.
yeah.
And so you will naturally be attracted to the polarity, to the opposite.
Mm,
Now, if you have a distortion or even dissociation with your feminine, which your feminine is your emotions, is your body, is your
yeah.
spirituality, then you will have a disconnection with the feminine outside of you too.
Mm, I like that. That was beautiful. So it's so true too. Like if if I want to feel more connected to the external females in my life, well, then get in touch with the female in me. And I think this is something I feel like all men in this world should know and embody more, because everybody wants an amazing woman in their life, all men, right? And all women want an amazing man in their life. But the reason why you're not attracting it because you're not even good to your that part of yourself. So why would the universe give you something externally? Our external world is a reflection of our internal world.
Yes, and again, it's such a beautiful and hard work for men
Mm,
because it's totally out of the society of what is accepted at large. You
mm,
know, men don't cry, don't show emotions, don't be emotional, don't be sensitive, don't be, needy. And well, all of this may be a part of you.
yeah.
And it's a part that men needs to reclaim in order to find balance and to find their divinity, right? Because otherwise, as you said, it's just there's such a disconnection that when women are reclaiming those parts, they cannot find alignment with somebody who is not
Mm,
reclaiming or have reclaimed their emotional sides.
yes. No, that's so good. You know, I had a lot of fun on this interview. I learned a lot. I like the way you explain things, and that's something that I love about these podcast interviews is everyone is different in how they articulate their experiences and their lessons. And you as well, I must say, very unique in the way you share your teachings. And at the same time, I believe that the women that are working with you, they're blessed and they're probably learning a lot from you, and they're very grateful for you. As we finish off the podcast, Leah, please let everybody know where they can find you. I will enter all that information in the detail section of the podcast so people can connect with you, follow you, and find you if they want to connect with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's true that the way I share things are very much more feminine, flowy, a little bit chaotic, and a little less structured and logic as the masculine is naturally used to.
Mm-hmm.
So you can find me on Instagram, butterfly.mission. This is my business and the way I actually share and pour my love and my mission and my heart, especially for women, in order to, find empowerment and true alignment and happiness.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm gonna put all that stuff in the detail section of the podcast so people can find you. And yeah, just want to say thank you so much for giving us an hour of your time. It was truly a pleasure, and I'm excited to release this podcast to the public. And I'm sure it will be a lot of great, amazing feedback. And also, as we finish off the podcast right now, I do want to say that my intentions are for you guys listening to truly listen to this information. And I hope that you get inspired to take action and really do something with the information. I really hope, and my intentions are that you find the magic in meditation, find the magic in healing your traumas, and find the magic in healing yourself emotionally so you can show up better for yourself, for your relationship, and for the world. And until next time, stay an aware alpha.